Hey guys, it's Angie, and this video is going to be all about my piercings. I have 14 of them, so I'm going to be talking about all of them, plus the one that I lost. I want to make some kind of disclaimer that I am no professional or expert on piercings. I just really like them. I personally feel like piercings, along with tattoos, really elevate your look. But unlike tattoos, piercings, you can take them out. They can be temporary depending on how long you leave them in and let it heal to that point. I personally don't have any tattoos at the moment. I only have my piercings and I love every single one of them. Another thing I wanted to touch on is that if you do plan on getting piercings, please go see a professional. That's what they're there for, is because they know what they're doing. I'm not going to condone this, but the only ones that I have not gotten professionally done are some of my ear piercings, only because I, for some reason, felt like it was a good idea to do it myself or have someone do it for me. I know it costs money, but in the long run, it'll be better. With that being said, please take care of your piercings, meaning cleaning them and using sterilized jewelry or sterilizing your own jewelry. It's better for you in the long run, it won't get infected, and you know, all of that good stuff. Don't use alcohol to clean your piercings. Use alcohol to disinfect or sterilize your jewelry, but not on the actual wound where your piercing is. For that, use saline. It's a lot better. It won't irritate it as much, and it'll actually help with the healing process, whereas alcohol will just fuck it all up. Now that I have that out of the way, I guess we will get started. I'm gonna start with my ear piercings, then go to my facial piercings, and then my navel piercings. I will leave timestamps in the description box as to where the facial piercings and the navel piercings parts will start, so if that's all you're interested in, then you can skip to those areas. But other than that, we're just gonna get started on the ears and work our way around my body. So for those of you who don't know or missed it at the beginning of this video, I have 14 piercings and majority of them are very visible. I guess besides my first holes, I got all of them on my own free will. They were all things that I wanted and I just got them. Because my first 3 piercings on my ears are matching, I will just point at this ear because it has more on it and tell the story from this side. Just, yeah, so you know, only the 3 on this one. Yeah. We're going to work from the bottom up because that's about the order that I got them in and go from there. So the first one at the bottom here was the first lobe piercing that I ever got. It is definitely the one that I don't remember because my parents had me get them before I could remember. So I don't remember any pain or anything as far as the initial piercing goes. At one point I did stretch this one and I got it up to an 8. And I think I did it all at once, if I remember correctly. To be honest, I think I was drunk at the seawall with a bunch of my friends, and a really good friend of mine decided to shove the gauge through. And it was consensual. I told her, yeah, I wanted to do it and everything, and I had to be held down by, I think, like 3 people, and get that shoved through. That was probably the worst drunk pain that I had ever been in, but at the same time I was drunk. I barely remember it. I just remember at one point I had one in my ear and it was there. I really liked it, but it did fall out on me one night. I don't even remember what happened, but the gauge fell out, and because it was at a size where the skin would shrink back down, it shrank back down to a normal piercing size, and that is why it is the size that it is now. It's about an 18 gauge, a normal piercing. I'm not complaining because I can still wear normal earrings and not have to worry about them falling out. Now on to the second one, which is the one with the tunnel. I got this one pierced when I was 12. I had my mom take me to Claire's when I was living in Hawaii and everything, and that was like the one thing that I wanted was a second piercing hole. So we went there, felt like a shot, nothing too bad, and bam, it was there. So as far as stretching it goes, after the first one fell out, I was like, you know, I really want to have gauges in my ears, so I figured having the second one done would be better because then I can have the gauge, but I can still wear regular earrings. So I started doing that with this tapering kit. It was one of the first ones I had ever seen that was actually sold as a kit, and I think they were actually the retainers, the clear ones that you put in there for like work and everything. That's what I used to gauge this hole. I went from the regular piercing size, an 18 gauge, and went step by step up. So I think it was from an 18 to a 14, a 12, 10, an 8, and then I had that for a while. I figured an 8 wasn't big enough, so I went up to a 6, and then 2 or 3 years ago, I went up to a 4, and that's what I have in here now. I have a double flanged tunnel in there, and it's called a tunnel because you can see through it. I'll put a close-up so you guys can see. I figured that I would go with this tunnel so this way it doesn't fall out as easily, but my ear has stretched a tiny bit more, so occasionally it does fall out. There are times where I do want to go bigger, but I'm not too sure. Who knows? Might hit that too. We'll see. Next one is my third, and I had a fourth one at one point. I got it pierced at the same time as my third, so there used to be 2 right here. I got it done when I was 16 or 17, I can't remember to be honest. I was still in high school, it was my senior year. I had a former friend shove a safety pin through my ear, and at the same time I had the fourth one done. She shoved a second safety pin through, so I had 2 safety pins and 1 safety pin, and I thought it looked really cool for a little while, but it got really annoying to sleep with, so after a few weeks, I think maybe 2 weeks, I was able to swap it out, and when I swapped out the fourth one, it closed automatically, so that's why I lost it. With the third one, I did notice it hurt a little bit more, mainly because you're getting closer to cartilage, and cartilage piercings hurt like a bitch. So I honestly don't remember exactly when I got both of my cartilage piercings. I believe they were within 6 months of each other, to be honest. And the bottom one I know I did first. And if you look really closely, I have a dent in my ear right here because of how long I've had it. Initially, it was a regular studded earring with a piercing gun. That's how we did it, and eventually I swapped it out for a ring, and that's why the ring is there. The second one was also a piercing gun, and these were piercing guns that we bought at the Dragon Palace piercing shop in Okinawa. They're about this big, and they're about 10 bucks a piece, I believe. I can't remember, it was just so long ago. If anything, that's the only thing. If you are going to pierce your own ears, piercing guns are the way to go. Don't do it with safety pins. Just don't do it. I wanted a cartilage piercing for the longest time, so I believe one of my ex-boyfriends did both of them for me. To be honest, I have no balls to give myself piercings, so someone else has to do it. So I bought the piercing guns, but I had my ex-boyfriend put them in for me. The downside to cartilage piercings is that sleeping on them hurts so bad. At least with my experience, I had pain on this ear for I think like 2 months before it kind of calmed down, and I just could not sleep on this side of my head. So if you are ever considering getting an industrial piercing, which is the one that goes across from the inner side to the outer part of your cartilage, it's twice the pain and it's a thicker needle. So that's basically all my piercings on my ears. That's 8 of my 14 piercings. So that's why, to me, it doesn't seem like much because they're all on my ears. I would like to get more on my ears, but we will see as time passes on if that's going to happen. From my ears, I guess we'll go to my face. And to be honest, it crisscrosses on which way I got it done, because I got my bottom lip done, then my right nostril, then my Monroe, and then my left nostril. I will work from my nostrils down, and we'll just do that. So as far as nose piercings go, my nostril piercing was the one piercing that I knew that I've wanted almost my whole life, it seems. I was like 6 years old when I was like, I want a nose piercing. I always thought it would look really good, even as a little kid. With nose piercings in particular, I feel like literally anybody can pull it off. It's all just about the placement. You have to figure out where it'll look good on your nose. So if you haven't gotten it yet and you are thinking about it, definitely start by putting a dot on your nose with eyeliner or a pen to figure out the place that it would look best on you. If you do feel like ever getting an actual ring, like a circle ring for your nose, I would suggest taking a fake one, or like even one of these captive rings. Just take the ball off and stick it up there and try and figure out where the placement would be good for you. Definitely get it professionally done. And if anything, just put the mark on your face before you go in there and be like, this is where I want to get my nose piercing. I do want you guys to know, again, if you don't have it and you are going to get it done, one, they are going to stick something up your nose to catch the backside of the needle that's going to pierce it. And two, don't wear mascara that you know is gonna run. There will be tears. Whether they be voluntary or involuntary, it's like plucking a nose hair. Your eyes tear up, so be prepared for that. Anyways, getting into my nose piercings. So my right nostril, I got done when I was 18. I went with my friend who I think was getting her tongue pierced. I don't know. Mako, were you getting your tongue pierced when I got my nose pierced? With this one, the piercer used an L-shaped needle, so there was just a quick bend when he was putting the needle through after he pierced it, and it was fine. It was actually the least painful of the two. It's just that the hole is a little bit bigger, so my piercings tends to sink in there a little bit, so it's harder to see. With this one, I got done at 23, and I got it done with Victoria, my best friend, the one that I always talk about on here. She wanted to get her nose pierced. I was like, I want to get my nose pierced too, because I wanted to have both nostrils pierced. I thought it was a really cute look. It's very symmetrical, even though yeah, so we have a matching nose piercing, not knowing she was gonna get it on the left side also. This one hurt a little bit more because they used a corkscrew piercing. It hurts like a bitch, and it's the hardest one to take in and out of your nose. I absolutely hated it. The lady who did our nose piercings was like not completely there because she was trying to get out the door. So I feel like she was being a little more rough than your average piercer would be. But again, the involuntary tear came. It wasn't too bad, but it was just a lot more uncomfortable than my first one. So now we're going on to my lip piercings. I got my bottom one done first, and to be honest, it was probably not the best idea. I got this one done before I got my nose done. I was 17 at the time, and the girl that pierced my third piercing holes is the one that shoved it through my lip. And all she did was take a piercing earring. I know, this sounds horrible. I don't condone this. Don't fucking do this. I think she may have hit it with a lighter and then used one of those alcohol wipes to wipe it off, make sure it was sterile, blah blah blah, whatever. I think she wiped down my lip. I'm honestly not too sure. It was so long ago. And she's like, ready? I was like, yeah, and she shoved it through my lip. The one person that talked me into this piercing, oh my god, and I love him to death for it, is my friend Eddie. And Eddie unfortunately passed away a few years ago. He was like, yeah, you should get your lip pierced. We'll be the left side lip piercing crew or some shit like that. We were young and dumb. Like, this kid was like 14 and he had his lip pierced and he's like, come on, Angie, you can do it. And I was like, okay, and I ended up with it. I wouldn't change it for the world because of him. This one is actually my favorite one because of Eddie. It does have the most sentimental value to me. So yeah, that's the story behind that guy right there. My parents were not happy. I graduated with having a lip piercing and everything. It was great. With my Monroe piercing, I got this one done when I was 19. I had just moved to the States. I really like it. I like how it looks. I played around with the placement of it. I drew it on my face several times to make sure that's exactly where I wanted it. I prefer a black ball over a silver ball because I think it looks better on me anyway, and I had to get it done twice. The first time I got it done, the piercer was just horrible. He didn't really ask me where I wanted it or anything. He just kind of drew the dot on my face. He's like, good to go. And I was like, and then he shoved a needle through my lip. I asked him to get a 16 gauge needle, a little smaller one, so it'd be the same size as this one. And he used a 14 gauge needle, and that's about the size of a belly button ring. I didn't want that in my lip. That just seemed so big. The lip piercing has a little plate instead of a ball on it. I'm gonna show you the inside of my lip to see the plate that I'm talking about. But it has a flat part, so this way it can lay flush in your lip and off your gums a little bit, or it's more of a flat surface hitting your gums rather than a ball. Messing with my lip, got lipstick everywhere. Excuse my messy face. He didn't line it up correctly, and when he did it crooked, so a corner of the plate was cutting into my gums to the point where I had to take it out. I went back to the piercing shop and I was like, look, the guy that did it before, he fucked up. I would like to get it re-pierced. I had to pay for it again, so it was an expensive piercing. But the guy that did it the second time, he actually listened to me. So yeah, those are my facial piercings. And I guess now we will bump on down to my belly button and look at my belly button piercings. So before we get into the belly button piercings, please go to a professional. I know that so many girls try to do it with a safety pin in the locker room. I've seen it done at least 3 or 4 times in my life, and I don't understand why. That is how it gets infected. That's how you end up with issues in that area. Don't do it yourself. Go get it professionally done. For those of you who don't know, belly button piercings are done with a curved needle, which isn't even that bad. It's the clamping and then shoving the curved needle through it that hurts the most. The clamping, it kind of dulls the pain a little bit because that clamp hurts like a motherfucker. So they do take like a scissor clamp and line it up on your belly button. They draw the dots, of course, to make sure they get the placement right, and clamp it, and then they're like 1, 2, 3, and they shove the needle through. You are literally getting stabbed in the stomach. Not to scare anybody off, but it is the worst pain that I can recall ever feeling. It hurt a lot worse than eating shit on a skateboard, I know that for sure. But they do look really cute. So I'm all for the belly button piercing. If you want it, go get it. Just know it's gonna hurt like a bitch, and don't let anybody slap you in the stomach. My mom did that to me the day I got it pierced, and I was just like, what the hell, Mom? And swapping it out for the first time too is probably one of the most like verge of pain, uncomfortable feelings that you can ever go through, or at least for me it was. I don't know what it was, but when I was first swapping out my belly button piercing for the first time, it was the worst. Sorry, there's a crease from when I was sitting down, so that's what that is right there. I showed these in the TMI tag last year and everything, but these are my belly button piercings. I didn't want to get all 4 done. I just felt like the top and bottom would be really good, and I really like how it looks on my body. I got both of mine professionally done, 2 different piercers. The top one I got done by the guy who did my right nostril piercing, and the bottom one I got done with the girl who did my left nostril piercing. I didn't realize that till now. That's awesome. The top one I had done a little while before I got my nose pierced. A bunch of my friends were like, let's get piercings! And it was my day off of work, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, I really want to get my belly button pierced, not knowing that it was going to hurt like a motherfucker. So I was wrong. I was 22 when I got this nostril pierced and my bottom belly button pierced. I don't know how I fucked that up, but it's been years since I've gotten them. The bottom was definitely the most painful piercing I had ever experienced because, again, you are literally getting stabbed in the stomach. But I think because it's so much meatier there, that's why it hurts so much more. Know that if you are going to get anything besides the top done, that it's going to be meatier and it's going to hurt a lot more than getting your top belly button pierced. I do love my belly button piercings. I like how it looks when I don't have a shirt on and I'm looking at my stomach. I think it looks really cool. That was what drove me to get it done in the first place, is the fact that I think it looks really cool. But yeah, those are all my piercings. If there's anything that you take away from this video, let it be that you should go see a professional to get your piercings done. At least with a professional, they can break it down for you, the aftercare of your piercing, the healing times for your piercings, and all of that good stuff. I know for the most part piercings are expensive, but it is worth it if you think about it, because what if you fuck it up if you're trying to do it yourself? Keep that in mind. But that's everything that I have for you guys in this video. I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that it was informative. Maybe you got a kick out of one of my stories. And yeah, so if you have any questions, leave them down below for me. I'll try my best to answer them. Follow me on my other social media, Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram, all at jehbuu, the same way it's spelled here. And that'll be it. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!